Hi everyone, this is Flower Child 567 and I am here for Tamriel Storyteller Hour. Isn't that exciting? And guess what? Well, you all know what. I am just wanting to share with you a little bit about, or to finalize the information about the Daedric cults. We've been doing several episodes. Hey, Visionary. We've been doing several episodes about it, and last week I ended with looking at some of the Daedric cults, and then we'll do the same today. And I have to share one thing with you, and that is this. There is a possibility important phone call will come through during Tamriel Storyteller Hour. And if that's the case, I will simply take the phone call. I'll remain here and then return. So there might be like a little pause or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, I'm wearing Mara's priestess outfit, as you can see. And we're looking at Daedric cults. And even though Mara is not a Daedra, she is a cult. And I thought, I would wear this. And for those of you who know about Mara, she is our goddess, kind of, or Aedra, or Daedra, or whatever you want to call her, of love, in a way. But more importantly, she is the one that governs partnerships. And partnerships, you can do the Mara pledge with another person. And I've actually done it twice over the years. And I am currently not married here in ESO. But they're perfect to have, especially when someone you know is starting out brand new, and you can help them out. And the way you help them out, of course, is you take them to a Mara shrine. You both have to get let me show you the ropes on this in case you've never done it. You both have to buy from the store. I didn't look ahead of time to see where it is. Is it in here? Utility. You both have to come here. Yeah, Pledge of Mara. There it is. It's expensive, but you get the pledge, and some people buy it to be able to get the little perk that comes with it. You get 10% more experience while you're adventuring around together with somebody, especially when you're brand new. So sorry. And so the lovely thing about it is that you both have to buy the pledge. All right. And then you go to a Mara shrine, and there's several lovely shrines around, but the most popular shrine, I'll show you real quick. Should I take you there, I wonder, or just so you can have a house, right? You can get a free house if you're a new one too, called Mara's Kiss Public House, and it's in Vocal Guard and on Somerset, and you can go there, and not too far outside of it by the shrine is a Mara garden, and it's so pretty. And you go into the shrine. I don't know if I can remember how to get there. Hold on a second. Let me I should have shown you inside. Hey everyone! Hi Whitehead, Canadian, Deep, Dark, Alone. We're looking at Daedric cults, and I'm talking about Mara. Let me take you inside of Mara's Kiss in-house. Now mine is going to look totally different than if you were to purchase it or get it for free as your startup freebie house. Mine is set up as a little bit of R&R, you see. You come here and you disrobe and you have some water and an apple and you get into the hot springs and enjoy some rest and relaxation. So anyways, mine's quite different. All right, so anyways, I think the Mara Shrine, and this is part of the lore. This is important lore. I think the Mara Shrine is this way. So you come out of the house and you go up here. And if you're into role-playing, then you can come here. I think it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Here's the Shrine to Mara. Okay. And at this altar to the goddess of love, you can use a ring of Mara to espouse your beloved. And the fun thing about it is if you know a female, such as myself, who has the Priestess of Mara robe, you can have them come and stand as officiate right behind the shrine. And then you can go into the store, the Crown store. And this is especially fun. This is you can make a really beautiful role play on this, and maybe I'll find somebody who'll do a role play and we'll film it. Let me go to costumes, and yes, I have the outfit. And you come down here, and you get the wedding dress right there. You can see mine's been purchased a while ago. And if you're a dude, you can get the wedding suit. Or if you're both dudes, you can both get the wedding suit. Or if you're two gals, you can get both wear the wedding dress. You know, and then of course a man and woman would get that. And it just makes it fun because you come in your outfits. And you can come from different directions, one from this direction, right? And one from the other direction. And you would walk, not run, walk and maybe meet here and then come on in and stand before the shrine. And if you have a lovely person who's going to officiate, they could talk a little bit to you. And then you would click the Mara Shrine and begin the ceremony. And it's a really quick little ceremony, so you got to stay focused. But before you click the shrine, you could even say special words to each other. You could make it as beautiful as you want to make it. And back there sitting is a witness, so they're witnessing you. Or you could pretend it's the witness, and then you do your ceremony, and then you run off to Mara's room and have your honeymoon. No, Monday, Tuesday. Anyways, there you have it. How fun is that? And Mara gives you 10%. And if you don't want to make it a personal relationship thing, then you still have to come there. Just use the Mara. You have to get the pledge. You have to click the shrine. You have to be together. And you have a ring. You'll get a ring to wear. It becomes one of your rings. And then when you're playing together, when you're on at the same time, this is important. When you're on at the same time playing, that's when you both want to be wearing the Mara ring, because then you both are getting 10% off of each other. And once you hit XP 50, of course, it really no longer is applicable. So this is, if you're using it to help increase your XPs, because you want to get there quick, then, and you're helping out a friend, then it's a very short period of time, a couple weeks that you'd be wearing it. And then once both of you, or the new person hits XP 50, you just take it off and you tuck it into your little bank or a chest or what have you, and both remove it. There's no reason to keep it on anymore, and you replace it with your gear. Hey Sasquatch. Hey Canadian Dancer. I'm gonna go into Daedric cults now, but we're gonna go ahead and open up. We're gonna light, and we're going to open up and bring out our apocryphal tome and start this show. Well, I've already started it, right, with all the Mara stuff. Yeah, so I'm gonna take us down into the workshop area. So for those of you who are XP and you don't need that 10%, but you want to make it special, then it's your wedding ceremony. You're married. I always joke and say you become married here in Elderscroll, and you go through the little ceremony as a role play, and it makes your relationship or partnership with that person a little more special. And we have wonderful opportunities here in ESO that we can take advantage of. But most people forget to role play. The average player in the game doesn't role play, even though we are called a RPG. And most people use RPG, right, the role play aspect of the game, just based on the fact that you're a high elf such as myself, or you're an orc or a dark elf, or an Argonian or a Khajiit, or a little dark elf, or whatever else. You become a werewolf or a vampire. They think I'm role playing. That's my role play. I'm role playing as that character. And there are many of us here in ESO, not a lot, but there's a whole sector of players who actually love to role play in character. That means we assume a voice and characteristics, and we're like actors, and in a play, a stage play, or in a movie. And as those of you who watch the Wednesday Ebonheart Pack role play theater with myself and Vanric and Stretch, that we're role playing the Ebonheart Pack zone stories as an Argonian dark elf and Khajiit, and we are in full character and become that character. And when we are together, we're playing off of each other. Sometimes we fall out of character because we make each other crack up, but for the most part, it's role play. I love it. I totally love it. I have a new little wood elf too, who is a Bosmere, right? And she's Talia, and she's got an Irish accent and everything. So, and right now I'm taking her through the wood elf zones. When I play her, I've gone through Gratwood and done the zone stories, and she's in Green Shade right now doing the story. And then after that, she'll be whisked away to Malabal Tor. And then I will probably go into the northwest of Reaper's March because I want to get her into the Green Pact and all of that. I've already done the prologue to the Gold Road with her, because the Gold Road is going to focus on our little Bosmere. So I want her to be my character for that adventure. And yes, I will be for that, I will have a episode where I'm just doing her, in the Gold Road. So let's get I'm going to have a seat over here, and then we're going to look at our Daedra. That music box is really so loud, I'm going to just turn it off for us. That's Times Architect. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, it's pretty fascinating and beautiful, but it gets to be loud and in my ear. All right, I'm going to sit down right here. What do I have here on my desk? Visitor's Guide. Oh, yes, I've already read. Oh, Oath of the Keepers. Oh, yes. Let's take a look at that. Ouch. Gracie. Maybe it doesn't want to open up for me. All right, it's okay. All right, let's open up our lore book, shall we? And take a look at our collection for today. Lore Library. And we're going down to the Eidetic Memory, and we're going to Daedric cults right here where we started last week. There's 117 different lore books spread throughout ESO. To date, I have only located 79 of them, so I still have quite a ways to go to find those puppies. All right. We have read some of them. We started out last week. So I want to come down here to where we stopped, which was right here. Daedra Worship and the Chimer. Hi, all of you tuning in. So get something to drink and settle back in. In fact, I'm going to have a sip. Daedra Worship, the Chimer, by Veritas of Elenhir. The history of Daedra worship by the elves, once known as the Chimer, provides a valuable object lesson in the dangers of traffic with the so-called Lords of Oblivion. It's a tale of peril that modern-day apologists for Daedra worship, such as Lady Cinnabar, would do well to heed. Let's begin with a few facts that not even the shrew of Tanith could deny. The Daedra, the gods, the divines, created Nirn out of the chaos of oblivion. They assumed physical form within the mortal plane, the mundus, and according to elven myth, were the direct ancestors of the Aldmeri. The Daedra were the natural objects of holy reverence for the elves of the Dawn era, and the first organized religions venerated these divines. However, after Nirn was born, the Daedra withdrew from their creation, becoming distant, aloof, and disinterested in the affairs of mortals. But beyond the mundus, in the infinite variation of oblivion, there were other godlike entities of great power known as the Daedra, literally the not Daedra, who began to take a malign interest in the realm the Daedra had created. Some of the more powerful of these entities, the so-called Daedra princes, who ruled entire oblivion planes of their own, were nonetheless jealous of the mortals of Nirn, for they had inherited the Daedric capacity of creation. This ability was beyond the Daedra, who, though masters of change and metamorphosis, created nothing new that has not been before. However, one quality the Daedric princes shared with the young mortals of Nirn was a lust for power in all its forms. This corrupting desire is the foundation of all mortal worship of the Daedra. The princes offer power in return for service. and worship. Most often this power comes in the form of knowledge, the most seductive and least perilous seeming of the Daedra temptations. To show how seductive the temptation can be, reflect upon the early Aldmere of Somerset. Though in their arrogance they considered themselves the lineal descendants of the Daedra, nonetheless, the large-scale religious sect espousing Daedra worship was born in the heat or the heart of Somerset itself. There in the rainbow shadow of the crystal tower, the so-called prophet Veluth communed with the Daedra prime Boethia and agreed to accept her gifts. He inscribed the Velothi prophecies which expounded the doctrine of worship of the good Daedra, Boethia, Azura, and Mephala, along with ways to appropriate and negotiate with the bad Daedra, Molag-Bal, Malakoth, Sheilgarath, and Mehrunes Dagon. To the more foolish, the Somerset Aldmeri, the arts and skills the good Daedra offered to teach them seemed more useful than the maxims and platitudes of the priests of the Daedra, and a number of elven clans accepted Veloth as their prophet and guide. And when the Sapphirics of Alinor rightfully prohibited this schism, Veloth led the clans loyal to him out of the Isles and across the seas to the far side of Tamriel, where they colonized the domain now known as Morrowind. The followers of Saint Veloth, who became known as the Chimer, were willing to trade the paradise of Golden Somerset for the purgatory of Ashen Morrowind, all in return for the illusory gifts of the Daedra. The Chimer built mighty temples to Boethia, Azura, and Mephala, and established the traditions of worship in Morrowind that were later co-opted by the tribunal. As even the beginning student of history knows, this large-scale dabbling with Daedra led inevitably to warfare and catastrophe. Chimer civilization fell at the Battle of Red Mountain, and the curse of Azura, their erstwhile mistress, transformed the brilliant Chimer into the sullen and haunted Dunmer. After that time, Morrowind, under the tribunal, turned its back on worship of the Daedra, but by then the damage had been done. Today the Daedra are feared and abhorred across the length and breadth of Tamriel, and rightfully so. Yet, despite the clear lessons of history, some misguided souls still insist that traffic with Daedra lords can be tolerated, even accepted. To those such as you, Lady Cinnabar, I say, beware what pact with the Daedra ever ended well. Now, there's something interesting I want to share with you, and that is the good Daedra and the bad Daedra. And I want to point out that the good Daedra, right, the good Daedra just happened to be Boethia, Azura, and Mephala, and the bad Daedra, of course, Molag-Bal, Malakoth, Sheilgarath, and Mehrunes Dagon. But look at that. Boethia, Azura, and Mephala. Good Daedra. And at the end of this, the Chimer, or, the Chimer, the Dunmer, the Dark Elves, all in the tribunal, under the tribunal, say the worship of the Daedra is not allowed. And yet, who do they worship? They worship Azura. right? They worship Mephala. They worship these gods or goddesses, Boethia, just under new names. Just under new names. So look at their tribunal. Look at the 3 tribunal and you'll see. Thank you, warrior. So I'm going to stop right here for just a moment and answer the questions of being asked in the viewer by the viewers. So first of all, what outfit am I wearing? Hi, Sasquatch. I'm wearing a costume. I'm wearing Priestess of Mara costume. And if you weren't here at the very beginning, that's where I took everyone to the Shrine of Mara, so that you understood the Pledge of Mara, becoming Mara'd in ESO. Thank you, Canadian Dancer, for saying story time is way cool. I really appreciate that. And Warrior Robert, thank you for acknowledging the effort I put into these things. And hey, Supreme Goddess and Strong Onion, and hey, Dream Soldier. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're having a great Friday so far. And I know I am. And all right, let's see. We're going to continue on the Tamriel Storyteller Hour. Have you ever seen this beautiful letter from a Xander that you get? Well, no. I'm not going to read it. All right, let's go on to our journal and our Daedric cults. I want to come down here and find it. I want to find it. Oh, Lord Hallowjacks' Dread Realm. Hallowjacks. Does everybody remember when we were getting that motif handed out to us through an event? By Gillian Darnazon, Sijic Proctor of Abyssal Fragments. There are so many urgent matters, both mundane and metaphysical, pressing upon the land of Tamriel, its governments and their people. Some decry as wasteful the expenditure of scholastic researches upon a subject like the myriad subplanes of Bolivian and their rulers, the so-called Daedra lords and demi-princes. They are deemed to be trivial and inconsequential in the greater scheme of things, a subject unsuited to Sijic study when there is still so much we don't understand about our immediate orbic surroundings. But it seems to this poor scholar that the greater scheme of things is a broad tapestry woven of threads uncounted, and in the warp and weft of reality, who is to say with certainty what is consequential and what is trivial? I believe no subject is unsuited to Sijic study, as all things are bound together. The power of knowledge is infinite. The power of ignorance can shatter ebony like glass. Perhaps you find that an unnecessary and rather pompous preamble, but without judgment on that, because by the time this course is complete, I believe you will agree it is accurate. To illustrate the average Sijic's ignorance of these matters, I will commence with a lecture about the little-known plane of detritus and its enigmatic Daedra lord, Hallowjacks, which you have probably heard spoken in common parlance as Hallowjack, though many regard Lord Hallowjack as a fictional bogey invoked during the witches' festival to frighten superstitious peasants. He is all too real, and tells of him appearing in cemeteries under the harvest moons to terrify the unwary, have a basis in objective facts. So, let me introduce you to the reality behind the legend. Hallowjack is a unique greater Daedra, who bears title Lord of Mortal Fears and takes as his province the placatory worship of all men in Myr who are driven by fear to pray for divine intervention. According to Hallowjacks, such worshippers belong to him, in heart if not in soul, and he derives supernatural power by feeding on their terror. The metaphysical mechanism of this fear feeding is a mystery, as if it doesn't fall into any of the mystical categories of the old ways as we Psijics understand them. But just as we can't deny the existence of flame spells just because we don't study destruction magic, we can't discount Daedric fear feeding just because we can't explain it. There are too many verified accounts that attest to it. Now, I said according to Hallowjack, as if we had the Daedra Lord's personal testimony or interviews to draw upon, but such is not the case. Hallowjack is an elusive fellow who appears to mortals only long enough to make them their most dreaded fears come true. However, there are many folk tales of the fearful being, driven mad by their fears, in the form of repeated visitations by Lord Hallowjack, a class I refer to as Hallowjacks Haunted, who provide us with a long, though fragmentary literary tradition of personal accounts of the feared Daedra. And we can draw upon these for glimpses of their persecutor. Consider this excerpt from the archived journals in our library filled as Haunting number 497. Sometimes Petra has multi-day shifts where she has to spend several nights deep in the mine, and then he comes to tell me softly that the ceiling will collapse as it did on me, and Petra will never return. He steeples his long fingers as he speaks, talons tapping against one another. Tip, tip, tap, except when he points at my eye for emphasis. Another excerpt from Haunting 112. His teeth, oh Mara, his teeth, how can he have so many, so long, so sharp? No one should ever smile, because he smiles, and when he does, oh Mara, preserve me. And finally, this one from Haunting number 4. By the way, do you notice the reference to Mara as a form of prayer, of supplication, of protection? Now the Haunting number 4. He told me then of his realm, Detritus, and how he frivols there among his collection of shattered memories, categorizing and classing them as this or that, replaying them from different angles to find new vulnerabilities in the mortal mind, new chinks in the armor of strength and sanity that protects us from succumbing to fear. There is no outside on Detritus, he said, only inside, only room after room of recurring nightmares and internal torments. For mortals fear most what is inside themselves, he whispered. And most of the time I need only remind them of who they really are within. That's enough, and more than enough. This gives a sample, but if you spend some time in the library this session to read the hauntings yourself, you'll find that they're remarkably consistent in their descriptions of Lord Hallowjack. He speaks softly or in whispers from a mouth full of long, sharp teeth, and he has long, slender, and agile fingers tipped with sharp nails, talons that can slash or puncture, but most often just gently emphasize what the voice behind them is saying. Accounts of this oblivion realm are also consistent. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, I know I was in a most interesting part, right? Well, accounts of his oblivion realm are also consistent, describing a claustrophobic series of small spaces cluttered and jammed with piles of mortals, lost and broken personal items. So when the Witches' Festival comes round again, and you hear merchants and the mountebanks jesting about Lord Hallowjack and frightening children by waving long fingers in their faces, think about the truth behind the jokes. Have some compassion for the terrified and try to believe the stories they tell. Most importantly, when it's night and you're afraid, make no desperate prayers for succor. You might not like how they're answered. Now that is a Daedric prince worth avoiding. So, interesting stuff, isn't it? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay. I want to go down here. See, we have the waking flame. We have all kinds of, we have the worm cult, of course, right? How many cults do you think, Daedric cults, are there in Tamriel? Does anybody know? Well, I have a challenge out there. You know how to get a hold of me because you're viewing me right here on Twitch or YouTube. And anyone who finds out how many Daedric cults there are and can list them, either in a whisper to me in Twitch or once this goes to YouTube, in comments on YouTube, the first person to do that, you will receive a private not episode, but a private playtime with me. We'll hang out together in ESO, and we'll do it in voice so that we talk and chat and get to know each other. And that will be my gift for your effort of adding to the research of the game and the Tamriel Storyteller Hour. And I will announce you and your research findings at an episode of Tamriel Storyteller Hour. And I'm going to give you till the end of the month, the end of April, to do that. April 2024. So you got a couple weeks. All right. Persistence of Daedric Veneration is important to read by Lady Cinnabar of Tanith. If you believed what that old goat Fratus of Ellenhere writes in what he's pleased to call his histories, you'd think that modern society's biased Bias against reverence for the Daedric princes was rooted in some kind of instinctive revulsion against the lords of oblivion, an abhorrence based on events of unspeakable cruelty that take place thousands of years ago. This is absurd on the face of it. Ask the peasant in his field, the cobbler in his shop, or the solicitor in his office if he fears the Daedra lords because of the ancient practices of the wild elves, and all you'll get will be a blank look. The peasant, cobbler, and solicitor only fear Daedra and Daedra worship because they've been told to by established religion and academia, and because their neighbors believe the same thing. So Fratus Daedra worship survives in Tamriel only at the level of forbidding cults. On the contrary, it's easy to show that veneration for Daedra is widespread and widely accepted among the folk of Tamriel, despite the desires and opinions of priests and professors. Ask the hunter why he mutters a prayer to Hircine as he draws his bow. Ask the gardener why she asks Mephala to spare her vines from slugs and worms. Ask the guardsman why he invokes the valor of Boethia as he draws his sword, and one doesn't have to look hard to find worshippers of Sanguine during Carnival or Hermaeus Mora among scholars at any time. What of the Ashlanders of Morrowind, who still venerate the so-called good Daedra? What of the spirit wardens of Menivia, who follow Azura? And what of the jovial lambasters of Rimmon, who celebrate Claviscus Vile? What indeed of the Khajiit of the southern realms, rather than the Abjur, the Oblivion lords, the catfolk of Elsewhere, venerate them openly, scarcely drawing a distinction between Aedra and Daedra. The Khajiit recognize the benevolent aspects of the princes, offering them respect at a minimum and often admiration. Azura is a popular object of worship for Khajiiti magicians. Sheogorath appeals to the feline taste for wild mischief, and the souls of the dead are placed in the charge of Namira. Yet, Fratus would have you believe every mortal in Tamriel clings and cringes in horror at the mention of Daedra, and mocks my own work when I show him up for the charlatan he is? Or can we explain his petty hostility in another way? Wasn't it Fratus himself who approached me at the Dragonstar conclave of antiquarian scholars? Fratus who pointed out it was the 16th of the sun's dawn? Fratus who suggested we meet later that evening to appropriately celebrate Sanguine's summoning day? I believe he took it rather personally when I refused his smarmy advances, for it was shortly thereafter that his unwarranted criticism of my work began to appear in the journals. Yes, perhaps therein lies the explanation. Well, she's absolutely correct, isn't she? Even Mara, as I pointed out this morning, is worshipped. And she's an Daedra, yes. And, okay, she's worshipped, but anyways. And Hircine, prayer to Hircine. I lift my weapons to you, bless them and guide them true. A bow, a sword, a dagger, a claw. Let the sport begin, let the blood spill, hunter and hunter, in a chase to the death. So you see, I mean, we have them all over. We have ritual tomes where they talk about gods. This one about the harvester of souls, Moloch Baal. He's a dark god of schemes, but he's still honored by some. Testament of Dandara Hellas. Here we go at Mephala. She comes in, the Dark Queen. They're always here. They're here everywhere. The blessings of Boethra. We looked at all of her. I want to read this, The 5 Points of the Star by Sigilla Perate. Prophecy is her province, and that which is seen by the night sky queen must eventuate, however dimly it may appear to mortal foresight. For mortals are not all given the gifts of crystal vision, nor can they always endure knowledge of the truth. Dawn is the time of imminence, when Azura touches us with wisdom and a purpose. It is then we speak the supplication for guidance and tremble in fear that it may be answered. Rose is her color and her flower, and moon shadow her abode, as risen is the sun. Tend we then by midday our mortal necessities, conserving always some part of ourselves. For when the sun slides low, dusk is when we turn our hands to Azura's commands. Then we praise her with our dark evening acts, and glorify her with chastening of non-compliance. Fate is the book that she writes in to inscribe our worth and deserts. For by our acts do we earn her regard or disdain, and read our destiny in her prophecy. And that's a Daedra, isn't it? I want to look at this book down here before time runs out. Did I already pass it? This is To Dream Beyond Dreams, about Menivia of the Dreams. Let's see, I think we can read this one, and this will be our last volume today. By the Omen of 100 Prophecies. 'Twas in Menivia, dear green Menivia. There dwelt a young Breton of family and name. He had inherited a patrimony and thus needed to do nothing, as others were paid to do for him. And so he sat at his mullioned window and gazed out the diamond panes at the colors of the countryside as they changed with the light. And he dreamed away the day until the colors darkened, and he betook himself to bed, where he slumbered and dreamed in truth. Of what did he dream? He dreamed of his own land, but in colors more intense, more true, and more pure than in day. His Menivia of dreams was more real than his Menivia of waking, and he felt more alive when asleep than awake. Each day as his mullions, he looked and longed for a way to dream beyond dreams, a way to live in his reverie Menivia forever and forever. Reverie Menivia, he said, and it was a prayer. Reverie Menivia. Reverie Menivia. 1,000 times he uttered this prayer, and it changed like a dream to Ver Menivia, Ver Menivia, and more it became less and less until at last, Varmina, he said, and Varmina, and Varmina again. And to him she came in dream form, Varmina herself, and called him supernal dreamer, and first night caller, and named him omen of 100 prophecies. And when he awoke, he yet did dream, and spoke as in a dream, and called other dreamers to him, and to reverie Manivia. And soon you shall join him. The night caller has dreamed it. One night you shall dream, and in your dream you will say the name, and she will come. I love that. That's such a, to dream beyond dreams. It's beautiful. That's what we do, huh? That's what we do when we come here. This is our dream beyond waking, isn't it? To come in here and be a different character. Hello, Byrodar.
It may not seem like Byrodar works very hard, but appearances can be deceptive. This one is a very diligent scholar. Byro even visited the library. Once. About a month ago. Or was it 2?
Yes, I know. You're a good scholar. A very, very good scholar. I'm happy that you've taken up residency in my little library here. Well, my friends, yes, it's that time, isn't it? It's that time where I will say bye, but before I do, let me take one last look at my viewers and answer any questions that have come in. You've watched my little info thing? You mean on my website or here on my Twitch channel? Probably here on my Twitch channel, but it's on YouTube too. Thank you, Turnip King. Hi, Istanbul, nice to have you here. Deep Dark, yes, I will of course be playing on Saturday, but probably as Talia, my little wood elf, my little Bosmere. White Lines, hey Wild Child, what's shaking? What's shaking is, thank God it's Friday. And Michael says, hey Wild Child, what's shaking? Oh my God, you guys. I think you two know each other, don't you? You always repeat each other's lines. You're funny. All right, everyone out there in Viewerland. I can see that there's 35 viewers. Wow, I'm in awe that you all have tuned into the Tamriel Storyteller Hour. Thank you. I so appreciate you. And thank you for sharing part of your day with me right here in Elderscrolls Online. All right, that's all she wrote. Thank you. Thank you, writers of Elderscrolls Online. You're talented and you rock. Just to say I rock, you guys rock. All right, take care. Bye-bye. Hey, Crested. Bye.